I made this during the pandemic, y'all.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Let's go!
Father in the sky, I shed tears, I don't know why, but I'm a child of the Most High, so they can't break me if they try. Father in the sky, I shed tears, I don't know why, but I'm a child of the Most High, so they can't break me if they try.
The curses, the plagues, is it all a dream? Nope. The curfew, the troops, the world's on quarantine. Damn. The social, the 6 degrees of separation. The troubles of Jacob, the need for preparation. My vision is focused, I won't speed or rush. And if there's hate in your blood, then you need a flush. Yes, the priest is back, the Most High be praised. I'm making them sick, this song is 5G waves. As real as they come, won't find no fugazi. A man amongst men, so Gail and Oprah hate me. And Jesus had warrants. Paul wrote letters to Corinth. And Esau is red, and Donald Trump is orange. The faces, the gestures, that cat is so comedic. Corona, the virus, the plagues is sent on Egypt. We were slaves, led away to other gods. I ain't preaching shy, I'm killing them with current laws.
Father in the sky, I shed tears, I don't know why, but I'm a child of the Most High, so they can't break me if they try. Father in the sky, I shed tears, I don't know why, but I'm a child of the Most High, so they can't break me if they try.
The riches, the fame, is it all for Skrilla? The mask and the gloves so COVID doesn't kill you. The panic, the fear, the news is so fallacious. The Isley, the brothers, they say it's so contagious. The doctors, the nurses, the need for ventilators. The 1,200 cash they gave the stimulators. The signs and the warnings, don't forget the scriptures. Prevention and cure funded by special interests. Still in the streets, surely. Some say that he's worldly. Flow is sick like why Tekashi got released early. The judges, the lawyers, they say there's no defense. Season 8 Game of Thrones, cause it don't make no sense. And that's the rundown, TV is saturated. The fear is the push to get us vaccinated. We were slaves, led away to other gods. I ain't preaching shy, I'm killing them with current laws.
Father in the sky, I shed tears, I don't know why, but I'm a child of the Most High, so they can't break me if they try. Father in the sky,
like I said,
I shed tears, I don't know why, but I'm a child of the Most High, so they can't break me if they try.
Okay. What's going on, family? Peace and shalom. It's your brother Divine Prospect, Kingdom Harvester Ministries here on Maccabeestv. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, that thumbs up if you see it, and share this video with everybody you know. We out here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here with Priest Danyaahla. How you find me? I don't know how this guy found me. He made some calls here and there. He said, yo, Divine, I'm in town, came through, and now we're doing something dynamic right now. We can't tell you all the details, but you guys are going to see it soon. You probably heard about the documentary that's coming out, Charagma. And yeah, that's why they got me locked down here. So what's up, Dan? Talk to me.
Hey, peace and blessings. Shalom, 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 family. What is going on? Welcome to another edition of Maccabeestv, another impromptu edition of Maccabeestv. I guess I should say that all my editions are somewhat impromptu, but yeah, welcome to another impromptu edition of Maccabeestv. Y'all see that glare, right, on my one side of my face is dark and one side of my face is light. I got the windows wide open, so it's all good. I ain't trying to do a little Hollywood production or nothing. Just a little quick live, just to holler at the family. It's been a while. I want to dedicate this particular live to my brother Z.A. Gambit on Instagram. I posted something last week at some point, and the brother was like, "Yo, we miss you on Maccabees TV." I haven't done a live on Maccabees in a while. Brothers and sisters, I come from an era in Israel where there was no internet. There was no internet in 1992, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There was none. So we just did the work for the love of it, and the work is still getting done. Just sometimes with everything that's going on, I can't always go live. And I don't like going live with you brothers and sisters unless, I'm prepared, unless I have something important to say. I don't get on the camera just to get on the camera. That's never been my thing. Many of you brothers that know me from going way back would know if my lawyer was still alive, you guys would probably never even know what I look like. Probably still wouldn't have got on camera because I don't like the camera like that. Nevertheless, here I am. So I have about an hour. I'm not sure if I'm going to be on here for an hour, but I have about an hour to spare, give or take. The academy starts at 2:00. So I got to get over there with those brothers to do the academy lesson today, but I have about an hour to spare. And I was actually intending on doing a live yesterday, but I was withstood by Satan, literally. So I never got a chance to do the live yesterday. So I said, I'll just come and holler at the family today just for a little while before I do the academy, because I'm definitely not doing this later. Anyway, let me see who is in the building real quick. Let's just see who's in the building. I'm not going to expend all my energy doing this live, family. So if I'm a little bit laid back or monotone as opposed to my normal temperament, that's just because I'm about to do a 3-hour class in the academy. So I got to preserve some of my energy for that. Real quick. So let's see who's here. Shaya Allah, I see you, brother. Shalom to you, man. It's all love, brother. I still got love for you, King. I may not like some of the stuff that you brothers are teaching, but there's no hatred there, bro. There's no hatred there. It's all love. Christ said you can't hate your brother who you've seen and love the Most High who you have not seen. So I got love for you, bro. Don't let nobody ever tell you otherwise. I just vehemently disagree with some of the stuff that you brothers are teaching. That's neither here nor there. Warrior Lord, shalom to you. Alexa Quan, shalom to you. Linda Ricks, shalom to you. Bonita Sutton, shalom to you. Jonah Judah, I see you, King, shalom to you. Of course, my man, Uncle Claude, Growing Folks Talk. Family, when you get a chance, support that brother. Excellent brother, good brother, very eloquent brother. Support him. Okay. William McLeod, that's like a whole class and topic in itself. So we can talk about that another time. I really don't want to get too off into that right now because that's a long topic. So we can talk about that another time. Just ask me another time when I'm live and I'll go into it in more depth. I'm kind of pressed for time right now, so I don't really want to get off into that subject per se. Also, I see Jonah S. in the building. I see Big Reese in the building. So, family, remember what I told you, brothers and sisters. By the way, shout out to everybody that's watching on Facebook too. Shalom to y'all as well. Make sure that if you are in the house, make sure that you guys hit the like button or the dislike button. I really don't care which one. Any interaction is good. YouTube accepts it. It's all the same. So, any interaction will just boost the algorithm. So I don't care. You can definitely hate on the video. That's fine with me. I don't care. So real quick, family, I told you, brothers and sisters, that before when I do my lives, what I was going to do is I was going to share information with you, brothers and sisters, about the different herbs and stuff that I'm taking at the time that I'm doing my live, just to give you brothers and sisters, because we are in a time now where health is premium in Israel, as we all know. We see what's going on in the world. We don't really have to get off into it right now. We see what's going on in the world. Most of us, unfortunately, have pre-existing conditions in one way or another. And so we need to be on top of our health, 100%. So what I do is every time that I'm live, I endeavor to try to show you, brothers and sisters, some of the stuff that I'm taking, why I take it, so forth and so on, just to give you guys, something to think about in case something that I'm taking might help you with something that you're struggling with, right? So let's get right off into it for a second, right? So one of the first things that I'm taking, brothers and sisters, is I am taking zinc, right? Can you ever see this? It's a glare. Like I said, I got my window open, so I'm gonna come a little closer. You guys can see that, right? That's zinc. I'm taking zinc, right? Now, you brothers might wonder, well, why are you taking zinc? What's so important about zinc, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna show you guys 4 things real quick, and then I'm gonna ask you guys a question after I show you brothers this stuff real quick. But let's go ahead and let's do this first, right? Really quickly. Let me share my screen. Let me stop doing this. Okay. So you brothers might be asking, why do you take zinc, brother? Well, here are, let me do it this way so you guys can see the full screen. Here are the benefits of taking zinc, right? So we know for a fact that everything that we eat, a lot of our foods are incomplete. They're not whole. They're not complete. We understand this, right? We're not getting all the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals in our body from our daily diet for a host of reasons. So sometimes in order to stay healthy or in order to boost your health, boost, your immune system, so forth and so on, you have to supplement a healthy diet with vitamins and minerals, depending on what you need them for, depending on what you are deficient in, also depending on what ailments that you may have. So why do I take zinc? What are the benefits of zinc? Well, zinc helps regulate the body, right? It improves memory, which is good, right? For sisters, it aids you in your pregnancy. For some of our brothers and sisters, it helps you with acne, okay? It deals with prostate issues. That's very, very prevalent in the Israelite community. Brothers are suffering in silence with prostate issues, and they're not saying anything because of pride. And then you're going to the white man, and the white man is performing all these damn surgeries on you, which renders you impotent. When these problems are addressable, but you have to do it before the problems manifest, or when they manifest early, you got to get up on that, right? Zinc is also good for diarrhea if you're suffering from diarrhea, right? Muscle mass, if you like working out and you're trying to build mass, zinc is good for that, right? Zinc helps and aids in preventing osteoporosis, prevents inflammation of the skin, and helps regulate proper growth. A lot of zinc is found in proteins. So whether you eat a lot of nuts, whether you still eat meats, fish, so forth and so on, you'll find a lot of zinc in meat products. But again, a lot of brothers don't eat meat. You just eat like you're vegetarians or you're vegans, right? So you're eating you're getting a lot of your protein through like nuts and stuff like that. But sometimes even that is not giving you enough zinc in your diet. That's why you should supplement. It's very good to supplement, okay? Next thing that I'm taking, right, is this right here. I'm taking liquid magnesium. I'm going to show it to you, brothers. Let me stop sharing my screen for 1 second. I'm going to show you, brothers and sisters, what I am taking. I am taking liquid magnesium. See this? Liquid magnesium. Brothers and sisters, I'm a big proponent, and when you're taking herbs, to take them either in the liquid or the powder form more than the pill form, because the body does not break down the pills, those hard behind pills that you buy in GNC. The body doesn't break the pills down the same way and synthesize the same way that it does when you take liquids or powders. So I'm a big proponent of liquids and powders. Why am I taking magnesium? Well, let's look and see. Right? What are the benefits of magnesium, right? So this is a little bit small. So let me go ahead and I'm going to click it and go onto this website. Let me hide this. And it's actually on whatever. Fine. Let me hide this, okay? Magnesium, it helps to purify the blood, right? It eliminates accumulated kidney acid. We know we have a lot of problems in our community with kidney problems. Dialysis, you have a liquor store, a Mama's Fried Chicken, a church, and a dialysis center every other block in the hood. We have a big problem with kidney problems in the Israelite community. Well, one of the ways that you can regulate your kidneys, and no, you don't have to wait to have a kidney problem to get on magnesium. It's good to take it anyway, because you might have a buildup and you don't even know it. So magnesium helps eliminate accumulated kidney acid, stimulates brain functions and nerve impulses, is a great supplement for people who practice sports or if you work out. All right. It also is good for your cardiovascular system, right? It helps to control cholesterol levels. All right. It's great for combating depression or anxiety, and also good for combating fibromyalgia, which a lot of people have as well. Okay. Next thing that I'm on. Elderberry. You guys have heard about elderberries before. I'm going to show it to you, brothers and sisters, in a minute, right? I'm taking elderberry in a liquid form. All right. Elderberry helps eliminate constipation and boost your gastrointestinal system. That is extremely important. A lot of brothers and sisters are suffering from constipation and you don't know it. You should be, listen carefully, family. You should be going to the bathroom, eliminating, doing the number 2 every day. If you go 1, 2, 3 days without eliminating, something is wrong. That is not normal. Elderberry is a very good herb to help eliminate constipation. You are constipated, probably because of your diet, but that's a whole nother conversation. So this is something that will help you and aid you in that. You don't have to go to Rite Aid and buy some nasty behind concoction that they have there that you don't know what the hell is in it to take it to ease your constipation. You can take something like elderberries, right? Beneficial in reducing blood pressure and managing diabetes, which is ravaging our community, right? Helps in weight loss and boosts your immune system. Immune system strength is extremely important in the days of the C, the 1, the 9 that's going on. Immune system boosting is extremely important. Elderberries help in that. Reduces the appearance of wrinkles and age spots, right? Aids in eliminating excess cholesterol from the body. By the way, brothers and sisters, we're just gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna talk to you as though you don't know, although everybody should know. These herbs are in addition to you eating healthy, not so you can continue to eat bad and then take this. That doesn't work. It's in addition to healthy eating, right? Promotes bone strength and development of bone tissue, and alleviates respiratory conditions such as cold and cough. You might see elderberries as one of the ingredients in certain over-the-counter cough medicines, but it's a very low dosage in there, okay? And they charge you a very high price. It's a whole lot of garbage and a very low dosage of the natural thing that you need to help you in that. So these are some of the things, brothers and sisters, that I am taking. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second. And again, I told you, brothers and sisters, this is something I would do when I go live, right? So this is the elderberry right here. You brothers and sisters can see that? You see that, right? Liquid elderberry. And again, I take the elderberry because, like I said before, I take it in a liquid form because the body synthesizes it better than if I took a pill or something like that, or a capsule, right? So now, real quick, you see these two things right here, the liquid magnesium and the zinc? I got these from the vitamin shop. This liquid elderberry that I have right here. Let me show you, brothers and sisters, where to get this liquid elderberry that I got right here. Okay? Let me see. Yep. Give me 1 second. I'm going to open up where I got it. I'm going to show y'all that. And then we can change the subject. We can change the subject. Oh, let's see what we got here. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen one more time. One more time. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, share screen. Let's do the entire screen. Share, boom, boom. Okay, so this is the website. You brothers and sisters should be familiar with it by now. This is Grassroot Botanicals. Grassroot Botanical. Okay. When you come to Grassroot Botanical, it's on the home page. Let me come back one page so you guys can see it. When you come to Grassroot Botanical, you scroll down. The elderberry is right here on the home page. Grassrootbotanicals.com with an S. Grassrootbotanicals.com. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm going to put it inside the chat. These are the things, brothers and sisters, rather than going and getting that poison in your system that they're giving out for free, these are the things that we should be doing and introducing into our system that will be much more beneficial for us than going and getting that poison in your system. And one last thing. As long as I'm here, one last thing, right? Real quick. I tell you guys about this all the time. One last thing. Let me share my screen one more time. All right. For those of you brothers and sisters that are not familiar, we have a group on Facebook, right, that I founded a few years ago called Healthy Hebrews. All right. I don't get a chance to go into everything on this channel. Obviously, it would take up way too much time. But this is a great group. A lot of you brothers and sisters are part of groups in Facebook where all you do is argue. That's all you do from sun up to sundown. Y'all arguing and banging on each other, and everybody's right and everybody else is wrong. We already know what's going on in the Israelite community. Everybody's arguing with everybody. This is the one Israelite group. This is the one group on Facebook that was founded by Israelite where we're not arguing in here. And you have people from all camps. Every camp is in this group. Everybody. And all we do is we share information about health and wellness in this group. If you have health or wellness related issues, this is the place that you want to be. And we also have Kemetic people in here. We have Muslims in here. We have all types of people in here because they realize what it is we're doing. Okay? We have herbalists in this group. We have doctors in this group. The only rule, there's two rules that we have to be a part of this group. Rule number one, you got to have a Facebook, a picture of yourself or something. Because before we just let everybody in and there was a whole bunch of trolls that was coming in there. We don't want that. Rule number two, when you come into the Healthy Hebrews group, it is a group about health. You are free to share information about health, not your doctrine. Health, not your doctrine. Guess what? I founded this group. I don't post any of my camp videos or any of my teachings in this group. I could break my own rule, but I don't. Because I want this to be a place where people can come. People are coming in here and they have serious issues. Mother, father, sister, daughter, uncle, nephew, sick, stage 4 cancer, stage 4 this, stage 4 that. Nobody wants you coming in here arguing about doctrine in this group. It's the only two rules we have. Have a picture, right? And come into the group and share information that is helpful to people for once. Put your sword down and share information that can benefit everybody, regardless. And some people, even as much as we nicely ask, just can't do that. You just cannot help yourself. You got to argue. So that is when we kick your ass out. Simple as that. Okay? That's the only request we have. So if it sounds like something you are interested in doing, if you have information that you may need, family members or that you may need, you know what I'm saying, that have issues, you're free to come into the group because sometimes we cannot take your phone calls. It's too much. You brothers already know. I told you Patrick Dells is overwhelmed. He's overwhelmed. Sister Malika is overwhelmed, right? But you can come into the group and people will see your question and they will give you answers based on what it is that you're saying. Somebody has this, somebody has that, somebody has hypertension, somebody has high diabetes, somebody has eczema, somebody has asthma, whatever. Post your question, you will get an answer. So this is someplace you should want to be. Now, it is a wait to get into the group. There's a lot of people waiting to get into the group because, again, we were letting everybody in and people are coming in and a lot of Israelites are disingenuous, man. You're disingenuous. As soon as you get in there, here you come with confusion. We ask you kindly, this is a health group, just deal with health, but you have to push your agenda. So in that case, we kick you out. No second chance, we just throw you out. Simple as that. Because it's not too much to ask. All right. So if it's something that you're interested in, send a request to the Healthy Hebrews group on Facebook, and we'll try to get around to the request as soon as possible and let you guys in. All right. This is a very good place to be. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave that there. Okay. So like I said, brothers, it is 1:17. My academy starts at 2:00 Eastern time. So I'm not going to be here very long. I'm not going to be on here very long. But I have a question. And I'm going to look into the chat. Let me bring the chat up. I have a question for the Israelite community. Here's my question. Is there any scripture in the Bible, because I hear this a lot, is there any scripture in the Bible that says, obey the laws of the land? Is there a scripture in the Bible that says that? That's what I want to know. The reason why I'm asking brothers this question and sisters is because we see what's happening on the news, right? You just had the verdict the verdict in the George Floyd case, right? We just saw that other young sister that had the knife that was shot down in the street right in front of her home, right? And we could have a long back and forth conversation about that. I'd like to actually have a conversation about that because I noticed the Israelite community is very split down the middle on that. Some of you guys are outraged about the fact that the young lady was killed, and some of you brothers and sisters are saying the shooting was justified. Maybe I'll do a call-in show at some point and we can have that conversation. But more importantly, what I want to know is, I see people pulling Romans 13 and saying that means that we're supposed to obey the laws of the land. That's what that scripture means. So what I want to know is, this is what I want to know from the Israelite community. Is Romans the 13th chapter telling us that we're supposed to obey the laws of the land? Because that is what I hear. So I want to see where your minds are. If you think that Romans 13 is saying obey the laws of the land, if that is the understanding of that scripture, put 1 in the chat. If that is not the understanding of that scripture, then put 2 in the chat. I just want to see where the people are. I just want to see where the people are. Is Romans 13 telling us that we're supposed to obey the laws of the land? Some of you Israelites sound like glorified politicians, and some of you Israelites sound like Pastor Porkchop. You guys would fit very well inside seminary school with some of the stuff I hear you brothers saying. So what I'd like to know is, I'd like to know if Romans 13 is talking about obeying the laws of the land. Is that the understanding of the scriptures? That's what I want to know. Israel is awful quiet today. Red Pill Israelite said the Coonerite doctrines. Yeah, definitely a lot of that in the nation. There's definitely a lot of that. Come on now. I see all you guys in the chat room and nobody has anything to say. You guys that are on Facebook, if you're answering, I can't see it. So you'd have to come over to YouTube. In order for me to see what your answer is. So Anthony Scott says 2. Anthony, I'm going to eliminate you because you know why. I'm going to see you at 2 o'clock. You know why. Adolphus Last says 1. Yes, it is talking about that. Okay. So we have mostly 2s, but there is a 1 in the house. There's one person that believes that Romans 13 is telling us to obey the laws of the land. One person. William McLeod said he believes that it's in accordance with God's laws. Okay. Anthony's laughing. Yeah. That was what, Anthony, what was that? Like week 2 or week 3 in the academy? I believe it was something like that. I don't remember. So I know you know. Red Pill said Israelite says 1, but unless they tell you to break the laws of the Most High, in that case, it's a 2. Uncle Claude says, wait, I thought we were not a part of this world. Okay. Anybody else? I'm just curious. Hostile MGTOW says, Red Pill Israelite is right. Disobey the law and go to jail, Jonah Judah says. Okay. Praveen wants to know if I watched the DMX tribute yesterday. No, yesterday was the Sabbath, so I wasn't able to watch the tribute, but I will check it out. I will check it out probably during the week. Yeah. William McLeod says the laws of the land keep us away from the Most High, and that's what keeps us in captivity. But you guys are getting away from the question. The question that I have, I see a lot of answers and a lot of good feedback on the comment board. But the question is Romans 13 saying obey the laws of the land? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Is Romans 13 saying obey the laws of the land? Is that the understanding of Romans 13? I hear that a lot in the Israelite community. So I just want to get it straight. I just want to get it straight. Is that what it's saying? See, the answer is correct. We are supposed to obey the laws of the land except where they violate the Most High's laws. Where the laws of the land go against the Most High's laws, we're supposed to obey the Most High. That's true. That is true. I don't think anybody disagrees with that in their right mind. But the question is that what Romans 13 is about? That is the question. That is the operative question. Because that's where everybody runs to try to prove that. So that's why I'm asking the question. Yeah. Oh, Hostile MGTOW, you said it's airing today on BET at 3:00. All right. I might check it out. I might check it out. No, actually, I'm not checking it out. The Academy is going on at 2:00. I'm tripping. Hopefully, somebody will throw it up on the internet at some point or something like that. Yah's son said no. Romans 13 is not talking about obey the laws in the land. Okay. One more time, because some people are just popping in. We're going to ask the question one more time. Yeah, Sarnetta had asked, told me he wanted me to come too, but it was a Sabbath, so that's why, nah. One more time, for those of you that's just coming in. I'm asking a question. Is Romans the 13th chapter? Okay, well, let me rephrase it. Should we obey the laws of the land? The answer is yes. I have to keep saying that because I don't want anybody, because you Israelites have a way of twisting people's words. So I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. We are supposed to obey the law. We are in this captivity for a reason. The Most High put us here for a reason. We're supposed to obey the laws of the land, except where they go against God's laws. So we all are on the same page when it comes to that. That's not my question. My question is Romans 13 saying that? Here's a little hint for brothers to think about. Why did Paul write the epistles to begin with? Why was Paul writing the epistles to begin with? I'm going to tell you the answer. The answer is because there were churches of believers that were established in these particular areas. There were situations that arose in the churches that the elders or the bishops over the churches could not answer, did not have an answer for, or had an issue with. And so they would ask Paul about the situation, and he would write a letter back answering whatever the question was. In our day and time, we don't have the actual letters that were written by the bishops to Paul, but we have the epistles that Paul wrote back to the bishops of these churches, which is in our modern Bible today. So when you're reading the book of Romans, when you're reading the book of Corinthians, when you're reading the book of Ephesians, when you're reading the book of Colossians, so forth and so on, you are reading him answering situations that was going on in that present time, which we can use in our present time to deal with situations that are in our present time. But you have to keep in mind that really those letters were written about things that were going on then. So that's why I asked the question that I asked. I'm just looking at you guys' comments, so don't mind me. Okay. All right. That's interesting. I need some more people to hit the like button, family. Let's go. Hit the like button. Let's go. Okay. All right. So this is what we're going to do, brothers and sisters. This is what we're going to do, right? There's an old saying that says, when you stay ready, you don't got to get ready, right? So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go through a couple of slides with you, brothers and sisters, concerning Romans chapter 13. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see here. Keep in mind, family, I only got 30 minutes left because the academy starts at 2 o'clock. So I have 30 minutes left. Nope. I got 30 minutes left. Okay, so just need you guys to bear with me. Want to make sure you guys can see the entire screen, which you guys can. Bear with me 1 second. Just going to check my phone and make sure you guys are seeing what it is that I'm seeing. Just want to make sure. Hold on a second. Hold on a segundo. Let's see here. Okay. Cool. So let's do it. Got 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Let's do it. Now, I'm not going through the whole chapter, family. I'm not doing it because I have 30 minutes. So I'm just going to touch on it a little bit. And the reason why I'm touching on this is not only do I see a lot of back and forth on this thing in the Israelite community, and they're relating it to current events in the news, but I also had a conversation with a Christian 2 days ago. And this Christian guy 2 days ago, he's a minister in this church. And he's telling me that basically I cannot be a good Christian, or he could not be a good Christian, unless he does everything. When I say everything, I mean everything that the government mandates. Everything that the government mandates, you have to do in order to be a good Christian. That's what he told me. And he took me to Romans 13. And I tried to explain to him that that's really not what's happening in Romans 13. And, he was so indoctrinated with his Christianity that pretty much mid-conversation, he just, after a while, he realized that he wasn't getting through to me because he didn't have no understanding of what was really going on. So basically, he ended the conversation, as usually Christians will do. That's what Christians will do. When all else fails, they run. Okay. Romans chapter, let's look at the first slide, right? We should follow the example of our forefathers. Look at Deuteronomy 4:32. It says, for ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day that God created man upon the earth, and ask from one side of heaven unto the other, whether there hath been any such thing as this great thing is, or hath been heard like it. So we're supposed to be inquiring about the past. That's why we read the scriptures. The scriptures give us insight into our past, and we can apply them into our current circumstances and situations today. What our forefathers did when they were faced with some of the very same situations that we find ourselves faced with today. Romans chapter 8, verse 8 says, for inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. Romans 15 verse 4 says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So when we're reading the scriptures and looking at, as I mentioned, the things that our forefathers did and what things that they went through, and we apply them in our current situation today. But when reading the scriptures, we do have to keep in mind that there were literally things that were going on at that time that prompted these scriptures, especially in the New Testament, the epistles. There were things that were going on at that time that prompted those epistles to be written in the first place. And we should have some knowledge of what those things are. Let's go to the next slide. Look at 2 Maccabees chapter 6. We're going to read verses 18 to 31. It says, Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man and of well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. Now remember, we just read right here, Romans 15 verse 4. The things that were written aforetime are for our learning, right? So we're reading about one of our forefathers, Eleazar, a principal scribe, well-favored countenance. He was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. By who? The Greeks. This is the government coming in and saying that he needed to do this. But we know that the scriptures tell us in the 11th chapter of Leviticus that we are not supposed to do that. So if Romans 13 was saying that we should obey the laws of the land, we're going to read where one of our forefathers did the exact opposite of that. When it came time to choose between keeping God's commandment or doing what he was constrained to do. Verse 19. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment. And it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such thing. Verse 20 again. And it behooved them to come, meaning us now, those that came after him and us now, that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for the love of life to be tasted. So you are not supposed to just do something because they say do it. That is a lie. If it goes against the law, statutes, and commandments, you are not supposed to do it. Period. Verse 21. But they that had the charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king. So this is what they did. They went to this guy who had a name in Israel, who was standing up for the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. And they took him aside because why? The people would follow behind this individual because he had a name. So whatever he did was very influential over the people. So they took him aside and tried to get him to pretend as if he was eating swine's flesh, because if he pretended like he was eating swine's flesh, then the everyday average Israelites would see this guy who they all looked up to, and they would follow his lead. Brothers and sisters, you guys are seeing this happening right now before your faces on the news with this poison. They're bringing out all the celebrities to try to convince you to do it. But that's not today's subject. Let's continue. Verse 22. That in so doing, he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. Verse 23. But he began to consider discreetly, and as becoming his age and the excellency of his ancient years and the honor of his gray head, whereon was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by God, therefore he answered accordingly and willed them straightway to send him to his grave. So he said he would rather die than break God's commandments. He'd rather die. Verse 24. For it becometh not our it becometh not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being fourscore years old and 10, were now gone to a strange religion. So he was worried about what the young people would think if he went against God's laws. So that's why he didn't do it. He was worried about the generation to come. Verse 25. And so they, through mine hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and moment longer, should be deceived by me, and I get a stain to mine old age and make it abominable. Verse 26. For though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. Wherefore, now manfully changing this life, I will show myself such as one as mine age requireth. Verse 28. And leave a notable example to such as being young to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. And when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment. They that led him, changing the goodwill they bare him a little before into hatred, because the foresaid speeches proceeded, as they thought, from a desperate mind. Verse 30. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten. But in soul am content to suffer these things because I fear him. Verse 31. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of notable courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto the young men, but it should say unto the whole nation. Okay. Let me see something real quick, family. I want to come out of here for 1 second. Give me 1 second, family. I apologize. I need to check something for a moment. If you guys are in my house, you guys should have hit the like button. All right. I'm not sure which one. Give me a second. Let's see. Give me 1 second. There we go. This is what I wanted. Oops. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, family. I knew something was wrong, right? I had an updated version of that PowerPoint and I wasn't showing it. That's why the last portion of that scripture wasn't showing. All right. There we go. All right. So we're good now. Okay. So let's get back into it. We're going to start from here. I'm going to show slides from current slide. Okay. See, now I got stuff highlighted. I got the whole end of verse 31 on here. So y'all pardon me. I had opened up the wrong PowerPoint. That was a version that wasn't finished. This is the more finished version. So I apologize about that, family. Okay. Let's go to the next slide, shall we? All right. Just give me 1 second. Let me make sure that you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. 1 second. Okay, good. You guys are good. Okay. How many brothers and sisters have ever heard of this phrase called FEMA pastors? It was a phrase that was very popular in the late 90s and early 2000s. It was a phrase called FEMA pastors. You guys may have never heard about what that is, but I'm going to show you, brothers and sisters, what that is. This is one of their favorite scriptures to go to, Romans 13. So let's just read what it says. It says let's read down from verses 1 all the way to verse 4. Now, this PowerPoint you guys are looking at is the whole chapter, but I'm only going to go down to verse 4 because, like I said, for the sake of time, I got to go over and do the academy in about 20 minutes, okay? It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Wherefore, Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt receive praise of the same. Verse 4. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou wilt do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, and a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So for the sake of repetition, I'm going to repeat what I said before. Should we be subject to the governing authorities of the earth that the Most High put in place? The answer, brothers and sisters, is yes. So long as what they decree does not go against what God told us to do. Acts chapter 4, verse 19. But Peter and John answered and said unto them, whether it be right in the sight of God to hearken unto you more than God, judge ye. Because we're not supposed to hearken unto man more than God. Acts chapter 5, verse 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than man. That's what we just read about Eleazar. He obeyed God rather than man. That's what we're supposed to do. So, yes, if something is decreed by the ruling authorities that the Most High set up, we should follow it as long as it doesn't go against God's laws. We're all on the same page when it comes to that. I don't think there's any disagreement when it comes to that. Let's move on. However, is that what Romans 13 is going into? That's the question that I've been asking. Let's listen to how the Christians break down Romans 13, because this has also seeped into the Israelite community as well. And there is an agenda behind breaking the scripture down that way. There's an agenda behind that. There's an agenda behind that. Listen, this is an old video from the 90s. Listen.
Law ever become a reality in America? Some fear any nuclear, biological, or chemical attack on U.S. territory might trigger just that. And as KSLA News 12 Jeff Farrell discovered, the clergy would help the government with potentially their biggest problem, us.
From my cold, dead hand.
Charlton Heston's famous declaration captures a truly American value, the overarching desire to protect our freedoms. But gun confiscation is exactly what happened during the state of emergency following Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans.
So what happened, brothers and sisters, for those of y'all that don't know, during Hurricane Katrina, right, what they did was they started doing gun confiscations. Remember, there isn't a Second Amendment. And you have a lot of states where the Second Amendment is law, where you are able legally to have firearms. But during Hurricane Katrina, what they was doing, they was going all throughout mainly our people's neighborhoods and confiscating their firearms, even the ones that they had legally. And they were using Romans 13 to do it. Listen.
U.S. troops also arrived, something far easier to do even now thanks to last year's elimination of the 1878 Posse Comitatus Act. That forbid U.S. troops from policing on American soil. If martial law were enacted here at home, like depicted in the movie The Siege, easing public fears and quelling dissent would be critical. And that's exactly what the clergy response team, as it's called, helped accomplish in New Orleans.
So they have something called a clergy response team. In case there's ever martial law that is implemented, such as happened in New Orleans during the time of Hurricane Katrina, they instituted martial law and the people revolted. And so what happened was they hired what was called a clergy response team that went into these neighborhoods and was using Romans 13, saying that whatever the government said, you got to do it. Listen.
Jeff, the primary thing that we say to anybody is let's cooperate and get this thing over with, and then we'll settle the differences once the crisis is over.
Such clergy response teams would walk a tightrope between the needs of the government versus the wishes of the public.
In a lot of cases, these clergy would already be known in the neighborhoods in which they're helping to defuse that situation.
For the clergy, one of the biggest tools that they will have in helping calm the public down or obey the law is the Bible itself, specifically Romans. Romans 13.
Because the government's established by the Lord, and that's what we believe in the Christian faith. That's what's stated in the Scripture.
Civil rights advocates believe the amount of public cooperation may depend largely on how long they expect the suspension of their rights might last. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12 reporting.
So, again, as I mentioned before, when it came time for there to be civil unrest back then, they hired what was called a clergy response team. They're also known as FEMA pastors. And they dispersed all these pastors who are already known in their community, all throughout the community, and they were using Romans 13 to tell the people that they should do whatever the government said do. Now, again, going back, are we supposed to do whatever the government says do? Yes, as long as it doesn't go against God's laws. That is true. That's why I keep coming back to the same slide. But the question is that what Romans 13 is going into? That's the question. Let's go to the next slide.
Law. Something happened back in 2006 that should not be forgotten. Something that is unfortunately still happening today. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA teaming up with your churches and congregations. And they're doing it under the banner of the clergy response teams. What exactly is a clergy response team? Well, according to FEMA documents that I'm about to show you, these particular reports entice pastors to not only quell their population in the event of some kind of catastrophe or emergency event, but they also train your pastors how to, tattletale on their congregants if someone is, quote, out of line, how to make their congregations submit to the government under the principles of Romans chapters 13 in the Bible. It also tells pastors that in the event of some kind of martial law scenario, that they are to tell their congregants to, quote, turn in their guns or have gun confiscation. These are the things being taught to our pastors and our clergy people all across the country. And the question I have, is your church now under the pull? Now, before I get into the report, just a quick break from my sponsor. You are either a prepper or you are a future thousands, if not tens of thousands of people out of power and the basic necessities of food. Right now in the Northwest, getting hit with disease. When the devastation hits, it's already too late to prepare. So prepare now when times are good, or suffer and pay the consequences later. Ask yourself, could you feed your family or your loved ones in the event of some kind of emergency? If not, then maybe today is the day that you get the emergency food supply that you need. Personally, I only trust and use My Patriot Supply at Prep Kit at 7 long grain rice. The food kits at My Patriot Supply that I've been talking about clergy response on my channel since 2006. However, I wanted to re-bring up the situation because it literally is something we should not forget. But let me take you straight to the source so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, the source that you're looking at on the screen is the actual Pastor Crisis Intervention document. It's a document used by DHS and FEMA and churches. In this particular case, it was used by Seventh-day Adventist Church. This report trains pastors how to basically quell or calm their congregations in the event of some kind of catastrophe, and to basically submit unto your governing authorities under any and all circumstances using Romans 13 as the springboard. But you can see here, this was published May 15th, 2006. Now, the first 8 pages of the reports tells you about why Christians should help, why they should get involved, why you as a congregation member need to help your community. Let me just pause right there. Whose job is it to help the community? It is ours. It's Christians, it's people, it's our job and our duties to get involved, specifically the church's job to get involved. So then wouldn't it be okay if they teamed up with FEMA? You see, God calls the churches to do this outside of any organization. He didn't say team up with the government. No, Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God.
So here's the thing, right? Because I don't have a long time, because she goes into a lot of stuff, right? If you guys have noticed, something else that's going on with a lot of these FEMA pastors is that a lot of these pastors are trying to convince their congregation to go and take that poison. That's what they're doing. And they're using, and she goes into it in this video. It's been a while since I had this PowerPoint open. I don't remember exactly what the timestamp is in this video. But in this video, she shows how these pastors are also using Romans, the 13th chapter, to try to convince their congregations to go and take that poison. So that scripture is being used every time that they want to move the public in a particular direction. They run to Romans, the 13th chapter. That's what they do. It is a ploy. It is a ploy. Now, let's move on. Okay. Romans chapter 13, verse 1. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. Now, as you guys can see on the right-hand side of your screen, I pulled up a website called Bible Hub, and I took a snapshot of all the different translations of the scriptures. And as you guys can see, most of the versions of the Bible translate that as the government. That's where they're getting this from. Government, right? So you guys can clearly see that. The higher powers are the people that are ruling right now. Let's go to the next slide. It says, let every soul be subject to the higher powers. Let's look at Psalms 106, verses 40 to 42. Therefore was the wrath of God kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance. Verse 41. And he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. That's talking about our people. Verse 42. Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. So God's people were brought into subjection under these other nations for breaking God's laws. When you look at the bottom, Exodus chapter 3, verses 9 and 10, you guys can see in verse 10 clearly that God's people are the Israelites, right? They're the Israelites. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Baruch chapter 4, we're going to read verses 1, and then we're going to jump down to verses 5 through 9. Listen. It says, O Lord Almighty, thou God of Israel, hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites and of their children, which have sinned before thee and not hearkened unto thy voice of thee, their God. For the which cause these plagues cleave unto us. That's why these curses are on us. Let's jump down to verse 5. Remember not the iniquities of our forefathers, but think upon thy power and thy name now at this time. Verse 6. For thou art the Lord our God, and thee, O Lord, will we praise. Verse 7. For this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in our captivity. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that have sinned before thee. Verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, and to be subject to payments, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God. Hear, Israel, the commandments of life, give ear to understand wisdom. So one of the ways that we are subject to the governing authorities of the world now and back then, in addition to being in captivity, one of the major ways that we are subject to these other nations is we become subject to tribute or payments. Tribute or payments. That's one of the ways that we become subject to these other nations. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Luke chapter 2, verses 1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria, and all went to be taxed, every one in his own town. Verse 4. And Joseph also went up to Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed. So the Israelites that were under Rome were in subjection, and they were being taxed by the Romans. You're going to see how this all ties together real soon. Remember, one of the ways that you are subject to another nation is to be subject to what? Payments. 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 So when we were in Rome, one of the ways that we were subjected to the Romans, we had to pay tribute and taxes to the Romans. That became a problem. Look, Mark chapter 12, verses 13 through 17. You brothers and sisters already know the scripture. Christ said, render unto Caesar. Let's see what it says right here. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar? Pay tribute to Caesar. Be subject to payments to Caesar. What did Yahushua say? Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. So we see Joseph and Mary, right? They were subject to be taxed, right? And we also see Yahushua telling the disciples that they should also pay their tribute. Whatever was supposed to be given to Caesar, you're supposed to pay. So the Israelites, during the time that we were in Rome, were subject to payments. They were subject to payments. Now, take a look at this right here. This is from pbs.org, right? And this is during the time of Herod the Great, right? I'm just going to come right down to where you see the arrow right here, where the arrow is. It said Herod was a successful client king, which meant that as long as he paid what? Tribute to Rome, and was on the correct side of any kind of Roman fracas, he was protected the political independence and liberty of the Jews that were in Israel. So Herod had to pay tribute to Rome. So Israel was subject to payments under Rome. That was one of the ways that we were subject to them. I'm going to skip all this right now. Skip all this right now. I want to get to this right here. Did you notice the book of Acts was written by the apostle Luke around 70 AD? In the book of Acts chapter 5, Gamaliel speaks about a Jewish Israelite revolt against Rome, which eventually led to the first Jewish-Roman war. Look at this. This is the book of Acts chapter 5, verses 34. The point we want is in verse 37. Look, then stood there up one in the council, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law, had in reputation amongst all the people, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space. Verse 35, and he said unto them, ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves, what ye intend to do as touching these men. For before these days rose up Theudas, boasted himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men above 400 joined themselves, who were slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. Verse 37, and this man rose up, after this man rose up, Judas of Galilee, when? In the days of the taxing. In the days of the taxing. Why? Because the Israelites were subject to payments to Rome. So you had a guy that rose up named Judas of Galilee in the days when they were taxing us, and drew away many people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. Why? Because they tried to come against the Romans because they didn't want to pay taxes. They did not want to be subject to payments. That was what was going on. That was the environment that was going on when we were under the Romans. You had a lot of Israelites that were revolting against the Romans, many times for paying taxes. So Paul was warning the church at Rome not to follow guys like this. There was something that was going on in this time period while this stuff is being written. This is from the Antiquities of the Jews, the book of Josephus, right? This is book number 18. I believe that's 18, right? 6. It says, but of the fourth sect of Jewish philosophy, Judas the Galilean was the author. These men agree in all things with the Pharisaic notions, but they have an inviolable attachment to liberty. They didn't want to be subject to the Romans. This is what Gamaliel was talking about in Acts chapter 5. And say that God is to be their only ruler and Lord. Okay? So what these guys would do was they started a revolt against the Romans and they were crushed. And so Paul was warning the church at Rome not to involve themselves with guys like these. That's really what was going on. Today it's being used as a cloak by the Christian church to get you to be a sheep. But there's actually a historical context behind that chapter. There's actually a historical context behind that chapter. Look at this right here. This is from Bible Gateway Encyclopedia of the Bible, right? You guys can see this on your screen right here, right? It says Judas of Galilee, Gamaliel in Acts chapter 5, verse 37, is quoted as referring to Judas of Galilee, who arose in the days of the census and drew away some people after him. He also says that this Judas perished, and as many as obeyed him were scattered, right? The enrollment or assessment for tax purposes here in a view was under Quintus during his second governorship of Syria around 6 or 7 AD. So what I'm showing you, brothers and sisters, right? This is what I'm showing you, brothers and sisters. What I'm showing you, brothers and sisters, is that you had this thing that was going on where you had a lot of the Israelites that would revolt against the Romans for a lot of different reasons. One of the main reasons the Israelites revolted against the Romans several times, they didn't want to pay taxes. They didn't want to pay taxes. So they would revolt. And Paul was telling the Israelites not to get involved with all these different revolts that kept coming up, because the Most High had set these Romans over us and we had to be subject to them for a certain amount of time. That was our punishment. That's really what was going on. Today it's being used as a cloak for evil, right? These are some of the revolts that you can read about in history. You read about Judas of Galilee. That's in Acts chapter 5, right? You read about the Jacob and Simeon uprising that happened in 46 AD, right? Then you have the Jewish-Roman wars that were from 66 AD to around 132 AD. Some people say 135, but from 66 AD to 132 AD, you have something called the Jewish-Roman wars. We were always at war with Rome, always. A lot of Israelites were trying to get from under the Romans, but the problem is the Most High set them up. That's really what Acts chapter 13 is going into. But nowadays, it is being used as a cloak to say that everything that this modern day government says to do, that we're supposed to do. That's not what it's saying. That's not really the context of what it is saying. We have to be subject to these nations in being under them, paying taxes and so forth and so on, things that don't go against the Most High. We were put here as punishment for us breaking God's laws. That is the bottom line. Real quick, Academy, y'all forgive me. I know y'all waiting for me over there. Real quick, I was going to stop, but I want to show you brothers something else real quick too. Look at this. I skipped the slide. I'm going to come back to it. Let me come back here real quick. I skipped the slide. I want to come back to it real quick. Where is it? Where is it? This is what I want. Is this what I want right here? Yes. This is what I want right here. Let me share my screen one more time, and then I have to go. I'm going to go over to the Academy. I have to go, but I'm going to share my screen one more time. Look at this. Look at this. I think this is important. Let me come right here. Now, you guys already know Romans 13, verse 1 and 2. What if I told you the Most High told Jeremiah the same thing? The Most High told Jeremiah something very similar to what we're reading in Romans chapter 13. Look at this. This is Jeremiah chapter 27. Jeremiah 27. We're going to read verses 1 through 9 real quick, and then I got to go. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus saith the Lord to me, make thee bonds and yokes and put them upon thy neck. Verse 3, and send them to the king of Edom, and to the king of Moab, and to the king of the Amorites, and to the king of Tyrus, and to the king of Zidon, by the hand of the messengers which come to Jerusalem unto Zedekiah, king of Judah. Verse 4, and command them to say unto their masters, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Thus shall ye say unto your masters, I have made the earth, the man, and the beast that are upon the ground, but by my great power and my outstretched arm, and have given it unto whom it seemed meet unto me. So the Most High sets up rulers on this earth. The Most High sets that thing up. Verse 6, and now I have given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, my servant, and the beasts of the field have I given to him to serve him. Verse 7, and all nations shall serve him, and his son, and his son's sons, until the very time of his land come. And then many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of him. Here's the point, verse 8. And it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the nation that didn't decide that they were not going to be subject to Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and I will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith the Lord, with the sword and with the famine and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. So what is the Most High telling these nations through the prophet Jeremiah? Don't try to go against Nebuchadnezzar. You guys have to be subject to him for this time, because I set him up to rule. That's the same thing that's happening in Romans, the 13th chapter. The Israelites were constantly revolting against the Romans. Constantly. And we weren't supposed to be doing that. That's really all that's going into. And the Israelites that would go against Rome, Paul was telling them, you're going to be destroyed. And they were. We read about it right here. Judas of Galilee, Acts chapter 5. They were. That's really all that's going into. That's it. It's not telling you that you got to eat swine if they say eat swine. It's not telling you got to take a poison jab if they tell you to take a poison jab. That's not what it's saying. Not at all. So, yeah. Don't worry, brother. I see you in here. I'm coming over to the academy now. I know I'm late. I'm 10 minutes late. I'm 9 minutes late. I'm coming right now. Brethren. I was supposed to do this review with y'all, right? Yeah, I know. We got something else we're going into today. We got something else that we are going into today. All right, family. I appreciate y'all. Much love to y'all. If y'all want me to do this whole PowerPoint, if y'all want me to do the whole thing here on Maccabees TV, y'all let me know in the chat. Y'all let me know in the comments when the video posts, and I'll go through the whole PowerPoint. I'm sorry I had to rush it, but it was just something that came up. Like I said, I was talking to a Christian, and then I hear a lot of Israelites saying, but that scripture is talking about obeying the law of the land. It's not telling you to obey the law of the land when the laws of the land go against the Most High. And really and truly, Paul is really warning the Israelites not to rise up against Rome at that time. Just like in this day and time, we're not supposed to rise up like the NFAC and these other groups talking about we're going to try to overthrow the government, this, that. We're not supposed to do stuff like that. We're in captivity for punishment. Bottom line. That's really all the stuff is going into. That's it. It's not trying to tell you that you got to be a goddamn sheep. It's ridiculous. Okay? So, yeah. I'm definitely, if you brothers and sisters let me know that you want me to go over that PowerPoint, I'll go over the whole thing, because there's a lot of information that I have in there. A lot of information that I have in there. So, yeah. Well, Dwayne Yosef, I just might. If I get more people that say they want it, I'll give it to them. The brothers in the academy, as y'all can see some of the comments in here, they already know. I went over that whole thing with them, I think, week three for the new members, week 3. So, it is what it is. Much appreciated, much love. I appreciate you, brothers and sisters. But I got to go. The brothers in the academy are waiting for me. I am late. I hope they're not mad at me. I'm late. I gotta go. Much love. Till next time. If you're in my house and you have not hit the like button, you need to repent and believe the gospel. With that, I say,
I wanna praise you, Yahweh. I wanna thank you, Yahweh. I'm so grateful, Yahweh. I wanna thank you, Yahweh.
For the promise of life is a blessing, and life is a lesson. Life is a setback, and life is progression. Life is uneasy at times, life is comfortable. Life will lift you up, and at times, life will humble you. Life is a gift, you better thank the Lord for it. Every chance you get, someone is less fortunate. Life goes in circles, life throws you curveballs. Life can be deceiving like preachers in the church halls. Life isn't promised. If I could be honest, the fact that I'm alive, that time has me astonished. Cause I came from the underground, being tossed around, being lost and found. Now they adore the sound of the priest, far from a nuance. Verses are proverbs, written are the new psalms. Another song for the blocks and the avenues. Everything is plain, I don't speak to them in parables.
I wanna praise you, Yahweh.
I wanna praise you.
I wanna thank you, Yahweh. I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
Yahweh. I wanna thank you, Yahweh.
For the power I see the world through different eyes. Every Sunday got the preacher telling different lies, hearing things that I really couldn't visualize. Should've listened, Big said you'd be hypnotized. I was a victim too, I say respectfully. They all up in the soup, don't know the recipe. Talking about I'm not who I was bred to be. Count me out, man, who made you the referee? Trying to get stripes, trying to cloud chase. At 19, I made an about face. Thanks to Christ, it's also about grace. And they lied when they said it ain't about race. But that's another song, I ain't the first to tell you. Woke up on a deeper and a surface level. Learned the laws and the laws changed my attitude. And the song is to show you how a gratitude. I'm so grateful.
I wanna praise you, Yahweh. I wanna thank you.
I wanna thank you.
Yahweh. I'm so grateful.
We're so grateful.
I wanna thank you. Yahweh.
Now let it ride.
I wanna pray.